I'm the Commissar. We're watching Forged Alliance forever, and you sometimes need to defend your base against an incoming enemy attack. It's all up close and personal. Is a nuke really the right choice? Today, we're going to find out. Could this be 6v6 action I see before me? Why yes it is. We've got the North team and the South team. Let's meet the North team first. A lot of introductions to get through. At the top, in the air position, we have Fergus 1080, who is 1412 rated, and Eon, he's in Cyan. Now, I reckon these next two slots in front of him are going to be carry slots. In the first of those, we have Smithers. Not just Smithers, but Smithers, who is 1632 rated, and Cybran, he's in Baby Blue. Moving along the top and joining his air player in going Eon, we have Worstofall, who is 1527 rated, in Orange. Over here, in light green, this is Legendor 2, 1551 rated, and Seraphim. Moving along the front, another Seraphim. This is NB3, who is 1116 rated in lime green. And last but not least, in fact this is North Team's highest rated player, beating Smithers by just 1 point. We have the Ballyclarian at 1633 rated. He's the UEF and he's in grass green. Facing off against them for the South team, in their air position, we have Millenwise, 1340 rated, and Eon, he's in dark green. In the first of the carry slots, this is Desert Wolf 216, who is 1434 rated, and Cybran in bright red. And in the other carry slot, moving forward a bit here with his comm, but there's his base in the background, we have Hirschy, the game's highest rated player, at 1955. He is Cybran in dark blue. And then along the front, we have Schumer, who is 1583 rated, and Cybran, he's in burgundy. Already well forward here, we'll have to look at where he's going in just a second. We have Peacekeeper, the lowest rated player in the game at just 1005. He is in fecal brown, and he's Eon. And last but not least for the South team, this is Rasco 400, who is 1573 rated, and Cybran, he's in yellow. Now, before anybody gets stuck into combat, we'd better look at the map. There are decent patches of reclaim here, 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 and here in particular, and little smatterings elsewhere, like a tiny bit up here and so on. But these are the ones to fight over. And we can see that Bally is already going straight for this patch to contest it. Peacekeeper going out very fast, he's in this patch already. And we've also got some reclaim being picked up by Legend over here. So that's not surprising that we're getting all this early pickup. And we've also got drops coming out. We've got one from Schumer. We've got one from Millenwise here. We've got one from Smithers. We've got one from Fergus. So lots of drops coming to pick up all the reclaim everywhere across the map. It's what we'd expect, and I am not in any way surprised. Smithers being quite aggressive with this drop where he's put most of it off him, and then he's just going on with labs on board to do a little raid. It's been seen though as Rascal's drop flies past. But we got to watch a couple of things here. Let's go to play by play. Millenwise's drop. It's landing here on top of Smithers' drop. He drops it off and the reclaim war begins. Sucking up Smithers' engineers as a couple of them run away, and immediately Millenwise is going for a point defense here. He pauses it for some reason. There we go. Oh, he's moving it apart because we have shots coming in from Bally, who's got a couple of labs on board this transport, and he's going to shoot up all of the engineers from Millenwise, supported by a bomber from Smithers. Meanwhile, Bally's comm is engaging Rasko near this expansion. Rasko's been trying to build this, but Bally is coming in. There's that transport with some labs on board, which we are going to see on the other play-by-play in a moment. But Bally is just straight up reclaiming the factory belonging to Rasko. I love it. Meanwhile, Fergus has been quite aggressive with his drop. He's coming in behind Schumer's comm, right here on the right-hand edge of the map. And these NGs, 20, 80... But there's a Mantis in from Schumer coming to shoot them, and it looks like Fergus is going for the reclaim on the Mantis, but I don't think that's going to pay off. However, looking at these NGs, I think this drop has paid for itself in terms of reclaim. Not as much as he might have liked, though. There's still a lot of reclaim here, and all his NGs are going to go down. Eventually. There we go. Still, nice amounts of reclaim sucked up for that drop. Bally is still trying to shoot down the turret that Millenwise did get up here, but Rasko brings in interceptors and they're trying to shoot down the transport belonging to Bally. And they do. Down goes Bally's transport, losing all the engineers on board, and Millenwise still has that point defense there. Lovely. Rasko's got an engineer. He's trying to put up a point defense, and of course he's shooting Bally with his comm, but it's not going to stop Bally reclaiming this factory. The factory is down, and Bally eats the mass. He is into the yellow though, so he may be forced to retreat now. He can't take Rasko one-on-one. And there is bomber support from Rasko coming in. Will that be enough to take out the Bally Clarion? Smithers lends bomber support against Rasko's engineers, but Bally is forced back towards this little pond. Meanwhile, Hirschy has joined Fergus in going for a very aggressive drop. This is right up at the top behind Legend Space, and he's put down these engineers. Not sure where he's going with those two, but these ones are the ones doing the job right now. And this one has picked up a decent... This one's already got 200 reclaim, so this drop has paid for itself, absolutely. But Legend is sending a tank. I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to clear them up with no problems. Albeit quite slowly. But yes, he does. And the other engineers have been dropped over here to grab reclaim and cheeky mexes elsewhere. Back to Rasko and Bally. Now, Bally is on below half his health, and he is fleeing for the water as bombers come in from Rasko. But the water is deep enough to hide Bally. Look, he's deep under it there. You can see him just at the bottom there, and Rasko is also under the water. He's trying to chase him down. However, I don't think that's going to get a great deal done for him. A torpedo launcher would drive him out of the water and might seal the deal. But he's trying for a ground fire by the looks of him. He's trying to ground fire the comm. You can see he's put the attack order above his head, but the splash on that gun is not big enough, and Bally is not taking any damage. Meanwhile, we have the gun upgrade being started by Peacekeeper. I think that's the first comm upgrade we've seen, but it's very closely followed by Worstofall, who is also joining him on the gun upgrade. They're both going for speed first rather than range. Bally still being targeted here in the water by Rasko. Rasko's got his bombers in the area, and Millenwise is also coming in to finish off what his drop started. You can see he's got a lot of reclaim orders queued up here, and Bally is going to make a break for it. Not much of a break through it, he's only gone that far, but a break nonetheless. Is he going to make it out? I don't know. Meanwhile, we have lots of lines being drawn across the map as Hirschy has also hidden in the water to start a gun upgrade, and it won't be a moment too soon as Worst is approaching with the speed upgrade on his gun. Bally's brought his own bombers in now to harass Rasko, and that is forcing Rasko to break off his attack. And this is the opportunity for Bally to leave the water, and he is absolutely doing so. right away. Out he comes. Meanwhile, up at the top right, we have a skirmish between Legend and Schumer. Legend has his comm closer by, he has more units. I think this is going to go in Legend's favour if they actually engage. It's a bit closer to Legend's base is the obvious reasoning here. Schumer's coming forward. This is only T1, and against this amount of T1, Schumer's comm, even unupgraded, will win. But if Legend is able to bring his comm into the fight as well, it might be able to seal the deal, and Schumer might be in trouble if that happens. But Legend isn't going for the comm, he's got units here and he's going for a run-by. This could be powerful, we'll check back on it in a second. Meanwhile, Rasco and Millenwise fortifying this area. Smithers getting gun and Barry getting T2, presumably mainly for the hit points after all that damage he took. But let's go back to the run-by of Legend as his tanks move in towards Smithers' expansion here. Well, I say they move in, they actually stop moving in for a second. Maybe he's waiting for the gun upgrade to finish on his comm, which is almost done. Meanwhile, Hirschy finishes the gun and pops out of the water, which is a nasty surprise for Worstofall and the tanks that he and NB have in the area. Worst does have the speed upgrade on his gun, but not the range upgrade, so Hirschy outguns him at present. However, Worst has a decent amount of units, which he can bring in here for support. Schumer has been surrounded by the tanks of Legend, and he's into the red. Could this be our first ejection? 1700 hit points, 1500 hit points. Schumer is taking a pounding, 1400 hit points, but he's using the terrain to his advantage. Legend has gun, remember, and Schumer doesn't. I think Legend is trying to move his tanks away so that he can shoot the comm and not lose his tanks in the explosion. But he might be a little bit out of range, and Schumer is wisely running for his life in this situation. He's going to make a break for it. However, there's an Hirschy from Legend, T2 on the field, and that can really pummel Schumer. Look at that, 1300 hit points. The tanks also swarm in. Could this be our first ejection? He overcharges the Hirschy, nice move. And he also gets a veterancy, and despite being in the red, I think that's going to be enough. Schumer makes it out. What a close escape. Meanwhile, Rasco tooling up a bit more in the pond. He's finished the gun and he's almost finished stealth. However, while he does that, Smithers, who already has gun and stealth and can't be seen therefore, I'm pretty sure they do not have any line of sight to him. No, they don't. They have no idea that a gun comm is about to pop out and smack this expansion. So, sneaky work from Smithers. He overcharges the point defense, he overcharges the engineers. There's a T2 mechs here he can now pick up for free. That's all very nice. Legend is pushing in on Schumer's forward base here, and Schumer is desperately trying to get stealth, which will give him a few delicious hit points before Legend arrives, but he may be forced to cancel if Legend gets any closer. However, we do have T2 units here. We have, yeah, Schumer is forced to cancel, but he has rocket bots, he has rhinos, and he has Tech 2 point defense, and this could be a bit of a pummeling for Legend. Legend does have gun, and that will beat T2 point defense, especially when there's no comm building anymore, because his comm's running away like a coward and doesn't have T2 anyway. But Legend is taking a bit of a beating. Has Legend actually overextended? The fire from the hoplites is raining down. There's also air support from these jesters. He's falling back, but it's now Legend's turn to be in the red, and Schumer comes back in with his comm. 1000 hit points, 900, 600, 400. We might be about to see an explosion here. 300 hit points as the jester comes in. 80 hit points, my loyal viewers. 80 hit points as the shield gets over him. But the jester's still there. However, Legend gets a crucial vet, and I think that's going to make all the difference, as Schumer is the one returning to the red. And Schumer is taking a pounding. 600, 500, 300, 200... My loyal viewers, did you see that? Did you see that? 30 hit points on Schumer as Hirschy's comm with gun sweeps by to save the day and Schumer retreats. Have you ever seen a closer shave than that? 30 hit points. Had to pause there for a little sip of drink. My excitement was getting too great. My word, my word. What an insanely close shave. Meanwhile, Bali has sent in Stinger gunships well supported by NTs, and there are a lot of mexes here belonging to Rasco that they can take out, and I don't think there's enough of an air response to stop this T2 air attack just yet. And there's a lot more delicious mexes here, including T2 capped mexes that the Stingers could take out, and they are going on just for that very purpose. However, Hirschy has a T3 mobile AA coming in, so we have got TT land on the field, and that should be enough to see the gunships off. However, they've taken out this T2 mech, they've taken out this cap T2 mech, and they might be able to take out another before the mobile anti-air deals with them. The mobile anti-air gets in range and it's zapping them pretty fast. Rather than stick around, they fly away. This mech survives with a tiny bit of hits, but still, that was 6 mexes, including 2 of them at T2, taken out by that gunship raid. So, great work from Bali. Meanwhile, Peace has got a significant army of blazes with a few Auroras mixed in there, and he's trying to send them in behind Bali to try and cut him off. However, let me tell you what I do not like. I do not like this snake coming in. They need to be in a group, and this could be a problem for them, especially if they run into this T1 point defense, or these Hirschys. Or this T2 point defense belonging to Bali. Yeah, look, they're just driving into this T2 point defense, and Bali is killing them completely free. So that was a significant misstep from Peacekeeper. He's going to lose a bunch of blazes for absolutely nothing. And as if that weren't enough, Smithers comm is going to come and finish the work. Bali has a bunch of T1 artillery Lobos out on their way. And Peace has lost a lot for free there. Look at that. 1,000 mass killed, 800 mass killed. The blazes are just dying. But that's a lot of effort to spend on one blaze attack. What else have we got? Well, Peace's comm is right here in the water, and there's a decent T2 army of Yensign hover tanks so that they can cross this little H-shaped lake, and flak coming in from NB. Now, Yensign hover tanks are pretty good as T2 hover tanks go. I think they're all about as good as Riptides, which are like amazing. However, it's not enough to stop a comm who's got gun and now extra range as well, and who can just overcharge them. So that's what Peacekeeper is... Oh my word. So, while that's been going on, NB has got gun, he's got single nano, but he's almost finished the splash gun. That's like experimental levels of firepower right there. It's a huge investment and he'll really have to make it pay off. But getting that at just like 15-16 minutes, that's reasonably impressive. And I would like to see him get stuck in there. But while that's happening, Bali's comm is pushing in on Rasco. However, he falls back a bit. I think he realizes he's getting quite close to Rasco's base here, which could be a bit dangerous. Rasco has stealth and gun, Bali has gun and T2. However, Bali does have an army, some of which is T2, backing him up. It pushes in and it's going to force Rasco's comm to fall back, and while I don't think this is going to get any work done in and of itself, but I also don't think that's the point. I think the point is that it's going to keep Rasco's comm back, while Bali uses his T2 on his comm to set up a fortification in this expansion, so that's quite a nice move. And as soon as he's confident of that, he forces units back. Meanwhile, NB has come forward. He's got the splash gun, and Peacekeeper's comm is right here. This could be an ejection here. The splash gun is powerful enough that even with the water to fall back to, NB could simply walk down Peace right here. And Peace is shooting him, thinking, yeah, I've got the gun, and then this happens. And look at the speed with which his hit points fall off underneath the awesome firepower of Sarah Double Gun. He heads for the water, he's over... Boom! Peacekeeper is our first ejection from the game at 17 minutes 30 as NB uses his splash gun to take him out. Delicious. Now we're going to rewind a little bit here and head up to the top right corner, where Legend, who's now got Nano in addition to his gun, is on Schumer, who's back to full health. And let me remind you, my loyal viewers, Schumer was on 30 hit points out of 16,000 not so long ago, but Legend is now supported by T3 units coming in from Worst. There goes Peace, who we just saw being killed a second ago. And Schumer is falling back under massive pressure from Legends. And remember, Hirschys are almost T3 units in of their own right. And for the third time this game, Schumer is down into the red, but there are bombs coming in from his teammates to support him. Legend stops moving. That might be a mistake, because Schumer, with his 2,700 hit points, is now falling back. And Legend's still trying to run him down, so I don't think that was deliberate. But Schumer now have these rhinos coming in. There's a lot more T2 point defense going up. And Schumer, if he can just get off an overcharge like that one, I think Schumer is now in a position to survive, as he's regenerating a lot thanks to his cyber nature. And now it's Legend who's in trouble again. That's twice we've seen Schumer taken into the red and Legend then smashed hard in response, but not quite enough to kill him. And this time I think he's going to still be in the yellow when he makes it. No, he's into the red as we get hot light fire pouring in on him, but he's going to make it to the water. Another close shave for both Legend and Schumer. Isn't this insane? Meanwhile, NB's comm is coming forward with his double gun and making life hard for Schumer on this flank, as he sends his Yenzyans forwards to apply pressure to Hirschy, but Hirschy has his own hover forces coming out to meet him. And NB is retreating with his comm. The Yenzyans head on forward, and the Yenzyans beat Blazes, so I expect this fight to go NB's way despite the shielding from Hirschy. But Hirschy has just finished the game's first experimenter. That's a Monkey Lord right there. And this army continues its run by, but I don't particularly like its positioning, and I think that it needs to either just take this fight and not try and hit this base at once. Desert Wolf also getting a Monkey Lord up and running there, as the pressure continues from MB. Okay, I thought that was going to be killed a bit quicker than it was, and it wasn't. Instead, they carry on, and they might actually get some mech skills here because Hirschy's units are now out of position. So this could be very good from MB, but now the monkey is in range. And this is a bit running too much spike because they've accidentally run into a Monkey Lord, which clears up the rest of the raid. And Legend is out of the water again, and again he's going for Schumer, and this time he has sniper bots supporting him. And again, once again, that 4 times now this game, Schumer is down into the red and running away. Is he going to make it out this time? 1,300 hit points. The sniper bots are continuing firing on him, 1,100 hit points. But they're worried about this T2 point defense, and so yet again, Schumer escapes. 4 times into the red, and 4 times he's run away. But we have a big Othium force sweeping around the side from Legend, and that might be what Legend needs, because that force of Othiums is easily enough to smash this T2 point defense. And you know what might also help? Focusing the comm, who is standing right there. He gets a vet though, and he's back up into the yellow. Is this going to be yet another close shave for Schumer? But all the point defenses are dead now, and this is a lot of Othiums against just one comm. Schumer flees towards the water. Is he going to make it? 2,000 points. No! Finally, after shave after shave after shave, he's gotten a very expensive barber. Schumer is taken out by the Othiums from Legend. Boom. But now, I think we've got a bit of play-by-play to look at here, because there is a lot going on. down at the bottom left, Rasco has a bunch of bricks smashing the little expansion belonging to Bally, but on top of that, he's got another bunch of bricks emerging from the water, and they are coming to attack Smithers, but Smithers has bricks of his own, and he's got multiple T3 factories right here producing more bricks. As the bricks leak out of the water, Smithers brings his own comm in, but he comes on the brick fire and nips away. Meanwhile, Hirschy's monkey has come to try to save the day, but the Othiums that killed Smithers are just sneaking around the side and going into the base that used to belong to Smithers. Now, of course, inherited by Hirschy. We'll check back on the monkey in a second. But now, have a look at these Othiums. There are a couple of bricks being produced here. There's decent production, but there isn't much point defense, and that radar is quite a loss for South Team. Some delicious mexes that might be picked up. However, more bricks are coming in, but so are more Othiums. Meanwhile, remember that first monkey from Hirschy? Well, Legend thinks he's safe deep under the water there. But a monkey has torpedoes, and another thing a monkey can do, it can stamp on you. However, Legend tries to reclaim the monkey and is actually getting decent damage on it. Okay, not really decent, but more than none. And with his nano, he can just tank those torpedo shots. The monkey heads out of the water. Back to the brick war in the bottom corner. And this is a lot of bricks from Rasco. Smithers might not have enough, and as if that weren't enough, we have the monkey that Wolf built has been given to Rasco, and that is going to be more than enough to swing the battle and wipe out this expansion. Back to Schumer's old base. Did I say Smithers a second ago? Anyway, Schumer's old base. There are now a decent number of bricks in here, and although Legend is sending in more and more Othiums, Hirschy is sending in more and more bricks. However, it feels to me as if the amount of Othium pressure is just slightly more than the amount of brick pressure. But Schumer's old base may have some salvation here, because there's another monkey from Hirschy charging in. The Othiums will have to flee if they want to get anything done. Back to Rasco's bricks, now backed up by a monkey. Where are they going? There is another expansion, this one belonging to Bally, which has bricks, has a lot of point defense, and has Bally's comm in it. If the monkey, which as we can see is on its way right there, runs that down, this could be a big problem for Bally. He sees it coming and he flees, which is extremely wise. I approve of this decision. He says, like, he's not... Actually, how much lower rated than Bally am I? About 400 now. I was going to say 600, but more like 400 now. Anyway, in comes this monkey heading for this expansion. Meanwhile, Legend and the monkey, which sounds like it should be a BBC children's TV shit series, Legend was just trying to reclaim the monkey there, but the monkey walks out of the water, turns around, and tries to ground fire Legend. However, it doesn't do so very successfully, and so Legend is just standing there while the monkey is firing over his head. Exciting times. But now it retargets, but it's still not close enough. I don't think that, despite the fact that there is some splash on the monkey laser, I don't think it's actually got enough to do the damage down here. Bally's expansion going down to the monkey from Rasco as it charges forward. But Smithers has his own monkey coming in, and Bally is supporting with broadsword T3 gunships. Rasco turns to flee. Oh, this is terrible, Michael, from Rasco. Look at that. He's going to be completely caught out. He's going to take immense amounts of free damage from the monkey belonging to Smithers. And he's not even going to kill any of these Percys. Boom, down it goes. So that monkey did fantastic damage, but it was lost to quite an easy misstep plus a few of these broadswords. That's how it goes. Back to Legend and the monkey. The monkey is going to try some more shenanigans now after realizing that the laser isn't doing the job. Now, it does have torpedoes, and that could be the weapon it needs. And there go the torpedoes firing upon Legend. However, monkey torpedoes aren't that great, and Legend has nano, so he might just be able to out-repair it, and the monkey instead heads off to see if it can get some more damage done elsewhere. Meanwhile, NB has not been idle. In comes a bunch of Yenzines with a couple of Othiums in the mix, and Peacekeeper's our base is essentially unguarded from this flank. And in fact, Millenwise has landed his Air Force in it. If he doesn't notice, he may lose some of his Air Force to Othiums. However, there's a monkey coming in from Hirschy to defend, and NB stopped there. That could be a mistake. He needs to see what's happening and move them down here to get more damage done. And he does, but it may be too little, it may be too late. There's some T1 point defenses here, but Othiums and Yenzines can easily handle that. The production's going down, or multiple HQs there. That must have been a misclick from Peacekeeper. And again they stop, and again the monkey comes after them. Please keep them moving, NB. However, he's going to get some mexes there. That's good. Nice pickup. Well, now Legend has a more serious problem than the monkey. There are torpedo bombers out from Millenwise, and they're going to force him out of the water, which would send him into the waiting arms, or at least nose, of the monkey. But Legend has brought in a wave of Othiums, and the Othiums are chasing the monkey into the water, and their torpedoes are definitely better than the monkey's. But Legend is going to have to keep dipping and diving in and out of the water, and this is going to be a challenge for him. Will he be able to use the Othiums to take down the monkey before the torpedo bombers take down his comm? I don't know, but it's going to be difficult. His comm takes some hits from the monkey. And there's a GC being built by Hirschy in Peacekeeper's base, and look at this build power. It's about to be completely shredded. This is going to be brutal. All these guys have to do is shoot. Ooh, look at that, look at that. This is build power going down like nobody's business. This is painful for Hirschy. However, these needed to continue moving. They've killed so much of the build power, but now the monkey has caught them up. There were also whalers from Desert Wolf, and the raid is stopped, but I think that was a good raid. Killed mexes, killed build power. Back up to the continuing misadventures of Legend's comm as he tries to get in and out of the water, dodging the torps, dodging the monkey. Fergus brings in his air to help clean up the torps. The monkey is out of the water. Legend is over here, and he actually stops to reclaim his own Othiums as the monkey comes back for him. If I were him, I would have moved that way. But I'm clearly more of a coward than Legend is, and now Legend chooses to do just that, as his Othiums chase away the anti-air so that Fergus can do the work from above. And that monkey's taken a lot of damage, but it's still in range of Legend, and more importantly, Legend is still in range of it. He's fleeing, and the monkey is chasing. He's going to have to stay in the water and try and come up with some other solution to the monkey. Again, there's a ground fire attempt. There was not a very good one. It's not doing any damage, and Legend is reclaiming the monkey once again as his Othiums swarm back in order to shoot at it from behind. And the Othiums open fire upon the monkey. But now we've got to do some play-by-play action. Remember that monkey from Smithers that took out Rascal's monkey? Well, it's been trying to sneak around the corner, but it has been spotted. We have a strap from Millenwise. We have whalers from Wolf, and that monkey is not making it out of there alive. It is pinned down, it is smashed into the corner, and down it goes. But we can hardly look away, my loyal viewers. We are back with who else but Legend and the monkey. Legend's taking quite a bit of damage here. Despite his 5 vets and nano, he's only got 6,000 hit points left out of 20,000. but the monkey has been taking damage from the reclaim, from the Orpheums with their torpedoes and their guns. And remember, at short range, Orpheums are fantastically powerful. Legend moves a little bit up to try and get away from the monkey, and the Orpheums pop out and they're surrounding it. This is good. The monkey can't fire in all directions at once. We also have to stop to take a quick look at Smithers. He's got gun, he's got Mazer, but has he gone teleport? No, he hasn't. He's gone cloak. We have a proper, true Cyber Rambo-com the way it should be. Let's see what he does with it. The Orpheums are pounding that monkey, and Hirschy might be about to lose it, but there's only a couple of them left. 3 Orpheums left, and make that 2. But Legend has fed the water up here, and the monkey isn't chasing it, but it can't get line of sight on these 2 Orpheums because they're too close to it. Are they actually going to kill it? Hirschy might have forgotten. One is just stamped to death by the monkey, but the other is still firing. And remember, Orpheums have such awesome firepower at close range. 700, 600, boom! The monkey is down, and Legend has made his escape. Isn't that fantastic? Meanwhile, though, look at Wolf's base. He's not just built and loaded a nuke, he's built and loaded 2 nukes. And as if that weren't enough, Hirschy's just finished one too. We are into the weapons of mass destruction phase of the game, and it looks like they're firing. Meanwhile, Hirschy has a monkey in the middle, which NB is desperately pursuing with Orpheums, but are they going to catch it and do enough damage before it gets somewhere important? Smithers comes out of the water. We're going to check on that nuke in a minute. Smithers comes out of the water, and he, with his cloak, is definitely enough to see off Rasko's Brits, because Rasko just can't shoot at him. There's nothing there. Now, I admit to teasing you a bit by cutting away from Legend just as strats from Millenwise came in. Are they going to do damage? Legend does have a T3 mobile Sarah shield to come in, but this Colossus from Worst isn't going to protect him from the air.
Launch detected.
However, in comes Fergus with his ASFs and saves the day. Meanwhile, there's the nuke out from Wolf, and no sooner does he launch the first one, but the second one is off. Where are they heading? That one looks like it's going for Legend, and that one looks like it's going for Fergus. Now, while the nukes are in the air, I would like to note that look at the eco lead that North Team presently has, and the map control lead. North Team are ahead at the moment on all grounds, except for one, and that one ground is the nuclear missile that is descending on Legend space. Boom! That is catastrophic for Legend. And as if that weren't enough, Fergus, who has a nuke of his own, but doesn't have nuke defense, might be in for a little bit of a problem. Boom! His eco is incinerated, but the nuke survives. So, we could be about to see some counterfire, and somehow, North Team is still ahead on their eco. Don't know how that is. They've been doing really well on that. So, was that enough from Desert? A fantastic attack, massive damage. We've got 50k damage on that nuke and 38k on the other nuke, but North Team are still ahead. Meanwhile, that monkey that was being chased by MB's Orpheums, it's coming into Bally's main base, but Smithers has a megalith, which is in position to defend, and Mega beats Monkey. But the question for Bally right now is, does Mega beat Monkey before he loses his pigeons, before he loses both his HQs? One pigeon is down, the air HQ is down, and that's going to be really painful for Bally. The monkey is going to die for certain, but boom, it takes out his other pigeon with it. He's only got one left. How's he looking power-wise? Well, he is actually surviving, but now he's having problems spending all that mass. The monkey the Omega advances, but nice little raid from Hirschy.
Strategic launch detected.
And Fergus launches his nuke, but meanwhile, we're going to have to look at this. We have a triple raid of the triple raid, a triple XP raid, a chicken and 2 GCs, backed up by a decent horde of Harbies coming in from Worst into the base of, well, it used to be Schumer's, now it's Hirschy's. But Hirschy has 2 Megas and a GC, and therefore my money right now is on Hirschy, because he's also got a few bricks backing it all up. In come the GCs. Meanwhile, the nuke from Fergus comes in and it's stopped by the SMD all the way over here from Hirschy. What a beautiful save. We saw Smithers complaining that no one makes SMD. Well, he was wrong. Someone on the other team did. The XBs for Worst come in and they're focusing down this mega. The Harpies are coming in behind. But already one of the XBs is dead for Worst. However, the Ion Storm from this chicken is going to do great work. And the first mega goes down. The GC is being engaged now by 2 GCs and an Ion Storm as Harpies come sweeping in from the side, and somehow 2 of the XBs, 1 mega and 1 GC for Hirschy, have gone down to the cost of only 1 chicken from Worst. And the GCs open up on the mega. If I am 1 chicken goes down, are we really going to see though? Look at this, the Harpies are swarming in. Are we really going to see 2 megas in a GC beaten by 2 GCs and a chicken? It looks like we might. However, that's a big airstrike coming in as strats from Millenwise and whaler gunships from Wolf focused at the GC. However, it's not going to be enough to save this mega, is it? The mega goes down and the GC advances forward. Will it be able to do any real damage here? T3 production going down, Mex is going down, but the GC is dead. There's still a swarm of Harpies though, and this is really great work from Worst. However, there is another GC coming in from Hirschy who is not going to let up on the pressure, and I think these Harpies are going to try to flee, but with this Air Force sticking around, they're not going to make it very far. And they fall back. Rasko's comm in the water here has a decent brick army coming to back him up as we're going to yet another play-by-play. But Smithers has this monkey. And monkeys are pretty nice. However, Millenwise has sent air support for Rasko. A bunch of strats come swarming in. But they're having trouble getting a drop on the monkey. However, they are getting the drop. But Bally senses ASFs and wipes out the strats from Millenwise. However, the monkey is forced out of the water by the swarm of brick torpedoes. Just north of Shumzo base, there is a huge AA force here of T3AA from Hirschy, but you know what that doesn't have an answer to? Let me tell you, it's this bunch of Othiums coming in from Legend. They're just going to get so many free kills here, it is going to be unbelievable. This is, look at this is painful for Hirschy. He's losing so much as the Othiums hurt him. Back to the monkey, it is running away as Rasko forces it out of the water. However, there's a mega coming in to help out. In fact, there's 2 megas coming in to help out, quite aside from this Cloak Maze comm, which we have only seen doing a little bit of action so far, and that might make all the difference down here. Back to Legend mashing the AA from Hirschy. Well, Hirschy's brought a GC in to see them off, but they've done the damage and they could just run away before the GC catches them. So that is a beautiful attack from Legend there. Love it. Now, Wolf has been all about the range play this game. We saw his 2 nukes earlier, and now he's got T3 RT as well. And as if that wasn't enough, Hirschy, who's also got a nuke, remember, is about to finish one too. Can North Team shields hold? This is quite an exposed base, and the air grid belonging to Fergus is also entirely open. So, this is pretty dangerous for North Team. Are they targeting? It looks like they're first targeting. Yeah, it's coming in for NB, and this is probably why NB has nearly finished an RT of his own, so we're definitely getting into the RT war phase here. Down rain the shells. Down in the south, NB has a decent army of Othiums with a chicken charging in, but you know what there isn't in there? There's only like one little piece of anti-air, and this is a Soul Ripper, a flying beetle, a giant T4 gunship coming in from Rescue, which immediately picks up the AA, and suddenly NB has to answer to this. And he might have forgotten this, because this is standing still doing basically nothing, as the Ripper destroys it for free. That is very, very painful. However, Fergus is on point. I saw that coming in on the minimap there, and in he comes with his ASFs, and that's going to drive the Soul Ripper away. However, Fergus backs away. He's seen that there's a lot of anti-air here for Rasco and the Air Force of Millenwise. However, the Chicken does now have a chance to walk in. The Beetle comes back, but I don't know if it can do the damage in time. This big force of bricks will actually have to catch the Chicken. The Chicken charges forward, and is it going to do damage in the base of Rasco? Another Beetle is nearly done. Is he going to deny it? Hirschy's arty as well as Wolf's is pounding the base belonging, and the shield is down. The shield is down. Back to the base of NB as his SMD is out. I think that's what they must have been targeting. They haven't actually killed the arty yet. They haven't denied it, though they're so close, and it's so close to being built. NB is desperately putting up shields.
Strategic launch detected.
And the nuke is out, and it's aimed right there. We're gonna have to keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, the arty has already been retargeted at Bally's base. And he is taking a punishment, because he hasn't had enough chance to rebuild after that Monkey Lord raid that we saw earlier. But the nuke is coming in. Is it going to take it? No! No, it's not. We have a clutch save from the SMD belonging to Legend right here that just picked it up. That was insanely close.
Strategic launch detected.
But the nuke barrage is not finished. And another nuke is coming for MB. Who's it from? It's out from Wolf. Who else? But his arty is up, and it's firing. Back to NB's attack as Whalers come in from Wolf to help out. I don't think that second Ripper is going to be stopped. But this and down goes the Ethophilus, the Chicken. But it's still got an Ion Storm, and I think that SMD might be what they were hoping to kill. Is that going to go down? Yes, it is, because remember, my loyal viewers, Fergus still has a nuke. Meanwhile, a nuke is also targeted at Bally. This is going wild. Here comes the nuke heading in for NB, though. Is this one going to hit, or are we going to see another nuke defense? This one's gonna hit. Boom! NB's arty and basically his entire base is taken out by the nuke, but we have to cut straight across to Bally. There's a Mega from Smithers which can survive a single nuke hit, but you know what can't survive a single nuke hit? Let me tell you, it's all that delicious eco in Bally's base. Ouch, my loyal viewers. We are seeing some absolutely crushing damage here from the nuclear and artillery assaults from the South team. However, and now Worst is the target of the arty. However, somehow North team still have the eco lead. I don't believe it, but they do, as Worst also loses his SMD. This is insane. Meanwhile, we saw this GC drive off that group of Othiums, but here is another group of Othiums, and it's sneaking around the back, and this time there's support from Worst, who's also brought another GC of his own into the mix. These Othiums, I think, should probably have grouped up with this lot, but this lot is probably going to be enough to do some quite significant damage here to the base belonging to Hirschy. In comes the army from Worst of All into the Hirschy's base, but there are now 2 GCs and a monkey here, and although they don't have any supporting spam really, I don't think this is going to be enough from Worst of All to break through at this point. We are seeing an absolute volley of nukes that we watched on the other screen just now. But who's going to win this one? I'm pretty sure these XPs are going to be enough to take it out.
Strategic launch detected.
But the nukes are really going off. We're going to have to see where they land. And Worst's attack is cleared up. Meanwhile, and I am sorry about all the meanwhiles, my loyal viewers, this has been a monster to record. We have Smithers advancing with 3 megas, a monkey and his cloak Masercom. The 2 beetles from Rasco come out in defense, as does a mega from Wolf. But with this many megas, I think it's the beetles that are going to be the real problem. However, they're choosing not to go in immediately. Here they come, they're coming back. Bricks swarming out from Rasco. This monkey needs to advance a bit so he can get a firing solution on Wolf's mega. However, the bombardment from these megas might be enough. Anti-air from Barry is going to try and... well, down goes the monkey as Wolf also brings in whalers as he loses his mega. And the air threat is real for this attack. Meanwhile, Worst has only just got some shields up, and that is just as well because he is the new target of the artillery barrage. It's already breaking through in some places. In particular, his SMD looks like it might be the target, and don't forget we got a lot of artillery raining down. A couple of Eon shields aren't going to hold against it. Heavily assisted Sarah shields, maybe, but Eon shields no, and boom, his SMD is down. I have a sneaking suspicion that he may end up being the next target of the nuclear barrage. This is looking really painful for poor old North team, and in particular, Worst of All might be about to get it worst of all. Not that he needs to. Look at the amount of damage he's taking from the arty. That's painful. Back with the attack from Smithers. Fergus has brought his air coming in. Is it going to take out the Soul Rippers? Well, the Whalers are all down. That was easy as pie. Where's the air response from Millenwise as both Soul Rippers go down? That is absolutely painful. And Fergus backs away. He's done the work. He's taken out the air to ground. These are going to make an absolute mess of Rasco's space. Wolf's nuke defense is pung. That could be a really, really nice pickup for Smithers. As his army advances, 3 megas by low field, 3 megas. How are they going to stop this? As Smithers megas advance, Rasco is going to be left with basically nothing. There's 1 mega from Wolf, but that's hardly going to be able to take much, is it? The SMD is down. The arty might be next. That arty will be a lovely pickup if they can get it. The pigeons around it are being destroyed. The shield is down. Come on, shoot the arty. Don't worry about the mega. Shoot the arty. Unfortunately, my loyal viewers, they are worrying about the mega, as one of Smithers' megas goes down. But there's still 2 megas here, and we have a defensive nuke. Look at that symbol there. That's the nuke target. We have a defensive nuke out on the minimap. We can see it's coming from Hirschy. Will it be enough? We've also got another mega from Hirschy coming in to help out. Between these 2 experimentals and the nuke, is it going to be sufficient? What does Smithers do with his comm? Well, here comes the nuke. Boom! And both megas are at sufficiently low health that they are taken out by the nuclear explosion. Wasn't that amazing? Looks like South Team are confident that they've done the damage to Worst because they've retargeted their vast arty batteries on Legend. And it seems to be no surprise that they are hitting the SMD, but Legend is Serra, he's got T3 Serra shields and he is assisting them hard, so it may be a little harder for South Team to break through here. Minimap shows me those shells coming in, they're still trying though. Are we going to see a hit? That strategic launch was the defensive nuke we saw not long ago. Legend looks like he might just survive this barrage. Well, South Team have given up on trying to crack Legend Shell there, and instead they're focusing on Fergus. While that happens though, I want to take a look at this. Because somehow, North Team, despite the vast amounts of damage they've taken from RT and nukes, have a 700 eco lead, peaking up sometimes to 1,000 there. They have collected 2 entire Mavor's worth of mass. The RT breaks through though. 2 entire... Ow, look at that. The air grid is going down. This could be a problem for North Team if they don't have air production. The HQ is still alive, but only just. Anyway, they've collected 2 whole Mavor's worth of mass, more than South Team, but South Team have killed a whole Mavor's worth of mass more than North Team, so there's only 1 Mavor in it. A phrase that isn't uttered that often, I don't think, but does that... And if the kill rate keeps up from South Team, doesn't matter. Because look at this, Fergus has just lost so much here. It is brutal. We've got a push on the front line from Bally coming in here, but there are megas to defend from Rasco, and we've got an army being massed by Worst over here, but it hasn't chosen to go in just yet. Fergus's air grid takes more damage, but as we watch, he actually fires a nuke. Where's it going? It's going for Smithers' old base, and I don't think there's going to be SMD here that can actually stop it. Meanwhile, Smithers' base, the backbone of his eco is under fire, and the SMD is down. I think that's exactly what they were aiming for, because that RT is now very vulnerable to a nuke. That will be a big loss. However, Smithers has a massive T3 push against these megas with a mega of his own, T3 everywhere, and his cloak Mazacom in the mix, and obviously we love every second of that. Is he gonna be bold? Is he heading forward? Will he be able to maze those megas? And most importantly of all, can they see him on the Omni? No, they can't. Schumer's old base, and Fergus nuke is coming in. Boom! That's a lot of eco loss for Hirschy, and one of those GCs was damaged enough that it has been taken out. Smithers advances towards the megas. It's gonna be great, my loyal viewers. It's going to be brutal for somebody. Though I am a bit worried for him that at some point he's going to end up in Omni range, but that moment is not yet.
Strategic launch detected.
But there's a defensive nuke. There's a defensive nuke targeted right here from... who's it from? From Wolf, we can see on the minimap there. And does Smithers know about it? He might be able to dodge it if he just keeps walking forward. And his comm does open up on the Mega. The Mega sees him and immediately ground fires him. But the nuke comes down. His own Mega is almost dead. He's got his comm and his comm alone. And I'm pretty sure they see him now, because look at that. He is taking the damage. And boom! Smithers' army is nuked. Smithers himself is killed by Megalith, and Smithers is out of the game. Is that not brutal? We saw Smithers' SMD taken out. Well, South Team are keen to take advantage of it, and his base goes up in smoke. However, the pressure is not easing up. Supported by a swarm of reclaim NGs from Legend, we have a triple GC push from Worstofall coming in, and there's one very heavily damaged GC and a monkey lying in wait from Hirschy, but that's not going to be enough to stop this lot, is it? The advance continues. The bricks are just being sucked up. This GC is just going to die in like a second if it stays within range, and I don't think it's going to have a choice. Down it goes, and the monkey becomes the next target. Hirschy's trying to save these XPs, but he's not going to do it. However, he does have not one but 2 megaliths coming in to defend, and as we all know, a mega can take 2 GCs if micro correctly, but this mega doesn't really have much support in the way of spam. And there are a lot of Harveys coming. It has support in the way of a strat, maybe even 2 strats, but that doesn't feel like it's going to be enough. Meanwhile, the RT pressure is unrelenting, and it looks like Fergus might be about to lose his nuke here. As close as the shield going to go back up. a near miss, but Fergus might just be... No, he's not. His nuke goes down and Fergus loses some of the possible ways he had to strike back. He's with so much damage to his air grid. This is quite a lot. Back to this crowd of units. One of the megas is down as the Harbies swarm in supporting it, but we have yet another defensive nuke. This time from Hirschy. I am loving this defensive nuclear play all the time. And these guys, of course, don't know that it's coming for them, and so they are standing still. The second mega, though, goes down, but the nuke hits, and boom! Look at that fantastic explosion. However, you know what? There are two units in this game that survive a direct nuke hit. One of them is the mega, and the other is the GC if it's on full health. And those GCs weren't that badly damaged. So, we still have two GCs alive and kicking, and indeed stomping as they head in towards Hirshy's base. What's Hirschy got that he can stop them with? And I feel like the answer is not much. He does complete another mega as he watches. He's desperately spamming them up with all his build power. He's got one here, but megas are slow, and this one is stuck behind the hill. The two surviving GCs come storming in towards the base. We have restorer support from Millenwise, and that's nice because, of course, there's no air on a GC, but there is still some T3 anti-air surrounding them, and that's going to work its way through the restorers unless Millenwise retargets, which he doesn't. And there's also AA support with Occupants coming in from NB. And those GCs are actually going to make it to the front line of Hirschy, or by the front line, I guess I mean the back line, because they're coming in from behind, which is difficult to do, but it's worth it when you can, because boom, that is the nuke from Hirschy, plus all its supporting PGens taken out by the GCs. Will they be able to get his RT as well? But there are now two megas stomping in on them, and it's just a matter of time before the GC dies. That is a mistake. He should have kept on targeting in here, because now the mega is, and now the mega can just body block him, and down it goes. So he shot the sheriff, but the deputy survived. And let me be clear, my loyal viewers, in this metaphor, the sheriff is the nuke, the deputy is the RT. Hirshy's RT is still up and firing. Now, in all this time, Legend has actually built RT of his own, but I think it's been noticed because it looks like it's being bombarded by the RT from South Team. And is there enough shield support from Legend in order to keep it alive and kicking? The ecos are still hugely in favour of North Team, but what are they going to do? Look, they've collected so much more mass. It's ridiculous, but how are the killer totals going? Well, that is an insane difference. 400,000 more mass killed by South Team than by North Team. That is immense. Ooh. What's Legend targeting? Ooh. Oh, that looked painful. In fact, yes. Might go and rewind for that. But Legend is under pressure. His shields crack. His SMD is still alive. Not anymore! Bang! That is the shield breaking for Legend. He loses his SMD. His RT is damaged. And his RT is down. That is going to be incredibly painful for North Team. We have two megas, those two that killed the GCs, from Hirschy advancing on what's left of Worst's army, and Worst does have a couple of GCs there, but the megas will crush them easy peasy, I have no doubt of that. Meanwhile, hidden at the back of Fergus base, Legend has started a scaffis. This could be great. We can't deny that so much of the work for South Team has been done by the RT. Despite the map control, despite the eco lead that North Team have, the RT and the nukes have just made things so difficult for North Team. Will this scaffis make the change that they need? Meanwhile, the RT has now retargeted on Worst, and Worst is gonna have difficulty under this bombardment. He's trying to get up RT off his own, but he's not really assisting his shields hard, and they're only Eon shields anyway. And as we watch his shields go down, his RT is denied, his comm is down, his comm is dead! Boom! Worstofall is defeated by direct artillery bombardment, and that is getting quite a... Well, we're now back to 4v4 among other things, but North Team are just losing so much. It is insane. NB is now the new target of the artillery. I think his comm might actually be the target. His shields shatter in seconds, his RT is denied, his base is denied, his SMD is denied, everything is denied. His comm would have died if he hadn't already got double nano. I feel he's underused his double gun, double nano this game, especially as the lowest rated player for North Team. It's less of a sacrifice, for want of a better term, if the lowest rated player dies, so he could have been really aggressive with that. And I'm slightly sad that he didn't. He is under direct RT fire, but his double nano is able to just absorb the pounding. Meanwhile, though, Bally has just finished in Novax, and so he might become the new target of the RT. And indeed he is. We can see it beginning to hit right there. Back to mid, where Hirschy has let one of his megas be caught out by Ophiums from NB, and the mega can smack the Ophiums if it's firing at them, but it's only just turned around, and the Ophiums have started really getting damage in. Thanks to the additional cover of the Servo Mobile Shield, and also I saw some RT fire coming from further back. Can't see where. Further back somewhere. Oh no, there it is. Anyway, the Mega is under attack, and it's being surrounded. That's how to take down a Mega, because it can only shoot one way at once. As for poor Bally, barely has his Novax been built, where the gentle caress of South Team's artillery comes hammering down. The shield is down. It's surely just a matter of time before some stray shot takes it out deep into the red. Kaboom! That Novax was not a investment for Bally, that paid off. Nice work from MB as one of Hirschy's megas is swarmed down. But we don't have time to watch that now, because the Scathis has finished, and I see a Scathis volley flying across the map. I only just noticed that on the minimap. Lucky I saw it. But they've seen it, and they've got aim for it with the nuke, because they've seen it with the Eye of Rian, which is there. But in comes the volley of Scathis fire, and shields start going down for Millenwise. They're going for the air grid, which I think is a nice choice. However, Artie from South Team is hitting the Scathis as the next volley is fired. Millenwise takes some direct hit. Oh, look at Millenwise's air grid absolutely going up in smoke there. Millenwise runs for it as the Scathis' next volley lands on him. But kaboom! Millenwise is hit by the Scathis and he is out of the game. And he can't have much air grid left either. Meanwhile though, I have a feeling that Millenwise is going to be avenged. The Scathis is already down into the red from the RT bombardment. And boom! As if that weren't enough, the death blow is a nuke. The nuke from Wolf we saw being launched a second earlier, and so simultaneously with the death of Millenwise, the Scathis is taken out. How absolutely brutal. I mean, it killed the South Team's air grid, and it did some damage, it killed a comm, but that game ender already taken out. Ouch, that was painful as Hirschy inherits. Now, I would like to take a moment here to look at this. Look at the mass killed. South Team have literally killed 1 million more mass than North Team. That is insane. That is a huge, huge difference. And that's only set to increase as Hirschy's Megas, he's got a trio of them here, are advancing on the left into Legend's base. Legend's got one GC and that's about it. These Megas are going to deal huge amounts of damage. Let's follow them for a moment. Lots of T3 mexes these Megas can take out. And I think Bally might be in a bit of trouble as he's running for the water, but there's a monkey and 3 megaliths here from Rasco. The monkey finds Bally and boom! Bally is down and out. And as if that weren't enough, there's still 3 megas from Rasco charging forward into what was Bally's base. My word, this feels catastrophic for North Team. The Megas of Hirschy continue their advance. Swarms and swarms of bricks coming in from Legend trying to stop them, but I can't help but feel that this is not going to be enough. Bricks can do a great deal of damage, especially if they're getting in behind the Megas like this, so the Megas can't shoot back, but 3 Megas is a lot of hit points to work through. T2 point defense is going up en masse. But look at this. The Megas are just able to tank so much damage. It's unbelievable. And Fergus thinks the game is over. He just resigns there. And I think NB has also resigned. If that explosion was anything to go by. Yes. So now Legend is left on his own. He's got 3 Megas swarming through his base. And he does actually take them down, to be fair. They are going down. But look what's happened. Remember what I was saying about the map control a second ago? Now it's here, apart from maybe that little bit. And now it's South Team who are hundreds and hundreds of eco in the lead. Brick's own Mega, says Legend smugly. And Brick's combined with the GC duo on the Mega, to be fair. But don't forget we've got these Megas coming in from Rascal on the other side. We've got nuclear barrages out from Wolf, and Legend can't handle it anymore. Legend resigns. What an insanely intense game. Let me tell you, that one was a complete nightmare to record and edit. There was so much going on. Those close shaves, 30 hit points. My loyal viewers, have you ever seen a comm get down to 30 hit points before get away and regen to full health? Amazing. Nuclear point defense everywhere. So much happening. It was great. I loved it, but tell me what you thought in the comments below. While you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and obey. I'm the Commissar. I will see you next time.